The cold water hit like a wall. Frank Morris pushed forward in the dark, his arms heavy, his breath short, the black waves of the bay rising and falling around him. Behind him, the island of Alcatraz was already fading into the night. Ahead of him, nothing but darkness. No lights. No sound except the water. Somewhere behind him, he heard a splash. One of the others. Or maybe something else. Frank didn't turn back. He couldn't. Because turning back meant failure. And failure here meant going back to a place where escape was said to be impossible. The wind cut across the water. Cold. Sharp. Unforgiving. Frank's hands felt numb. His legs burned. Every second in the water felt longer than the last. Then something strange happened. The current pulled harder than before. Not forward. Sideways. Frank tried to correct himself. But the water didn't listen. It dragged him off course. He looked up. Still no land. Still no lights. Only darkness. Then, for just 1 second, he thought he saw something in the distance. A shape. A shadow. Maybe land. Maybe nothing. He pushed harder. And just as another wave hit over his head, the story stopped there. Because nobody truly knows what happened next. 3 months earlier, life inside Alcatraz felt like time had stopped. The prison stood alone in the middle of the water near San Francisco, surrounded by cold currents and strong winds. From far away, the island looked quiet. But inside, every day followed strict rules. Wake up. Count. Work. Eat. Lock in. No freedom. No mistakes. Officer James Carter had worked there for years. He knew the silence. He knew the rules. And most of all, he knew one thing every officer believed. No one escapes Alcatraz. The water was too cold. The currents too strong. The distance too far. Even strong swimmers would not make it. That belief made the prison feel safe. Untouchable. But not everyone believed it. Frank Morris didn't. Frank had been moved to Alcatraz because of his past escape attempts. He was smart. Quiet. Always watching. He didn't talk much. But he noticed everything. Every guard movement. Every sound. Every small detail. His cell sat in a row of narrow cells. Concrete walls. Steel bars. A small sink. A bed. Nothing more. But Frank didn't see a cage. He saw a puzzle. And he wanted to solve it. One day, while sitting on his bed, he ran his fingers along the back wall. The concrete felt different in one spot. Softer. Weaker. He looked closer. Then he smiled just a little. Because in a place where everything was supposed to be strong, he had found something weak. Across from him, another inmate named Alan West whispered through the bars. "What are you looking at?" Frank didn't answer at first. Then he said quietly, "Time." Alan frowned. "What?" Frank leaned back. "I'm looking at time." Alan didn't understand. But he would. Soon. Days passed. Then weeks. Frank began working slowly. Carefully. Using simple tools. A spoon. A piece of metal. Anything he could shape. Each night, after lights out, he worked at the wall. Not fast. Never fast. Because fast work got noticed. And noticed work got stopped. He scraped little by little. Dust fell behind the sink. Hidden. Forgotten. Unseen. Across the row, 2 brothers, John and Clarence Anglin, watched him closely. They had also tried escaping prisons before. They understood risk. And they understood patience. One night, John whispered, "You think it's possible?" Frank looked at him. Everything is possible if nobody sees it coming. That was the moment they decided. They would try. But trying meant planning. And planning inside Alcatraz meant one thing above all else. Silence. They began sharing ideas in whispers. Short. Careful. Never too much at once. Frank showed them the weak wall. Alan worked on his own cell. The Anglin brothers did the same. Each night, tiny pieces of concrete came away. Each day, everything looked normal. But behind the walls, something was growing. A path. A way out. Time moved slowly inside Alcatraz. But for them, it moved with purpose. They collected materials. Scraps. Cloth. Anything useful. One day, Alan West said, "What happens after we get out of the cells?" Frank answered simply, "We keep going." "But how do we leave the island?" Frank didn't answer right away. Because that was the hardest part. Leaving the cell was one thing. Leaving Alcatraz. That was something else entirely. Then one evening, during recreation time, Frank watched the water carefully. The waves. The direction. The movement. He studied it. Like a map. That night, he spoke again. "We don't fight the water," he said. "We use it." The others listened. Because Frank didn't guess. He observed. And when he spoke, it mattered. Weeks passed. The holes in the walls grew larger. Slowly. Quietly. Carefully hidden behind objects during the day. No alarms. No suspicion. The guards saw nothing. Because everything looked normal. But normal was the disguise. Then came the next problem. The beds. At night, guards checked cells. If the beds were empty, everything would end. So Frank came up with another idea. "We need something to take our place." Alan frowned. "Like what?" Frank looked at the materials they had. Cloth. Paper. Soap. Then he said, "We make heads." At first, it sounded strange. But it worked. They shaped faces from soap and paper. Painted them. Added hair. Placed them on pillows. From a distance, in low light. They looked real. Real enough. Now the plan was complete. The walls. The path. The cover. The timing. Everything was ready. But plans only matter when they are tested. And testing them meant risk. One mistake. And everything would end. The night came quietly. No different from any other. Lights out. Silence. Footsteps of guards fading away. Frank waited. Counted seconds. Listened. Then he moved. Piece by piece, the wall gave way. The hole opened. Small. Then bigger. Enough to pass through. He slipped into the space behind the cell. Dark. Tight. Dusty. But free from the bars. One by one, the others followed. Except. Something went wrong. Alan West's hole wasn't big enough. He struggled. Tried to widen it. But time was running out. Frank looked back. "Come on." Alan shook his head. "I can't get through." The moment stretched. Seconds felt like minutes. Frank had a choice. Wait. Or go. And just outside the cells, beyond the dark passage, the way forward waited. The Anglin brothers looked at Frank. Then back at Alan. No one spoke. Because they all understood. This was the point of no return. Then from down the corridor, footsteps echoed. Getting closer.